It's the show 713. So my guest today is Mark Harris. He has been a swimmer, a wrestler, a marine biologist, a biology teacher, a high school sports coach, ski instructor, research analyst, a husband, a dad, and currently can be seen and heard on Princess Cruises for the past 16 years as their resident naturalist, all of that, and he still found time to write a book entitled Riding the Wave of Life. So please welcome to the show, Mark Harris. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for the
Awesome.
introduction.
Yeah, sure. So super happy to have you here and look forward to having a chat. So where do we find you today?
Today we're in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It's our turnaround day. We go 7 days up to Whittier, Alaska, and then 7 days back to Vancouver. And we do 10 round trips, so 21 week trips back and forth.
Okay. So
And
yeah, so
this is halfway through the season right now,
that's exciting. How long does the season go?
from May 1st until September 26th, almost 5 months.
Okay. And then part of your being a naturalist with Princess Cruises also takes you down to Hawaii for the second half of the year.
I do. I do 5 months in Alaska, and then I do 6 months in Hawaii. But I do different ships there, and we leave out of either San Francisco or LA,
Oh, okay.
back and
Nice.
forth.
I definitely want to, get into your backstory in your book, which I totally enjoyed, entitled Riding the Wave of Life. But currently, as you said, you're a naturalist on Princess Cruises. So what all does that entail? What does it entail being a naturalist?
I talk about the glaciers, whales, bears, sea turtles, dolphins, volcanoes, days at sea, and then when we go into glacier areas, I commentate over the speakers through wildlife areas, glacial areas.
I can definitely attest to Mark as a tour guide. So I recently did the Alaskan tour, and so you're riding along on the boat, and you're seeing these beautiful glaciers and beautiful snow peaks, and there's the voice of Mark telling you exactly what you're looking at, and it's amazing. Your passion and all of that comes through. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a great job.
So I wanted to kind of give people kind of a little bit of viewership of what exactly they're looking at there. So this is some video that we took from the Princess cruise ship, and we're just right out on the deck, and you're looking at this glacier. Which one is this? Do you remember, Mark?
That is Marjorie Glacier. That's the featured glacier in Glacier Bay National Park. And that glacier is 250 foot high, almost 1 mile across, and then it goes 21 miles back up into the Mount Fairweather. So that is the Marjorie Glacier. Well, Marjorie, one of the ones that were advancing, but the last few years it's been retreating. So we had to take it off the list.
And what is advancing versus clearing or receding?
10,000 glaciers are receding, mainly because a glacier only advances from a lot of snowfall high up into the mountains. And then that river of ice will make its way down. Well, we're getting a lot more rain now. So what happens is these glaciers are not advancing anymore. They're just receding up the mountains. And even Marjorie Glacier, the last 4 or 5 years, have receded quite a bit. And that is the featured glacier in Glacier Bay National Park. And I would say in the next probably 5 to 10 years, most of these beautiful white glaciers that you see in Glacier Bay National Park will be more covered with that brown moraine. They won't be quite as pretty.
And that's this. Let me go ahead and put it back up on the screen there. So that's this part here.
Yeah, the moraine. As the glacier comes down the mountain, it grinds the mountain up and kind of throws it to the side. And so you have what you call lateral moraine. And then as the glacier recedes, the moraine just slowly comes together over the top of it. And then it's more brown. Now you're going to have a glacier for a lot of years. That's 21 miles of ice that has to melt. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just not going to be nearly as pretty as what you remembered. Your children will not remember how white it is. When they see it, they're going to think, wait a minute, it was, and if you go back later on, you'll see the difference. Even the people that came 20 years ago in Glacier Bay, that whole area was all white across with the Grand Pacific Glacier. There was two glaciers, one brown one and one white one. Well, it was 20 years ago, it was a solid wall of white. Now it's just a wall of white and a half a wall of brown.
And what would need to happen in order for the dark wall to come back?
Well, we'd have to have a lot more snowfall at the higher elevations. And right now, the only ones that are advancing are the ones that are way high up, such as Mount Logan, 19,500 feet. That one's advancing. That's Hubbard Glacier.
Nice. Yeah, it's super amazing. And then in addition to like the snowy ice caps and of course the glaciers, part of your duties is to do presentations regarding the wildlife. We're going to see the glaciers, whales, dolphins, sea lions. What about some of the wildlife that we see?
On the Alaska trip, of course, is the star of the show are going to be the whales, the humpback whales. These humpback whales come to Alaska to eat, and they go to Hawaii to breed and calf suckle their young. They're mammals just like us. They have lungs. They have hair right around their lips for sensory reception. Well, when they come to Alaska, they eat for 5 months nonstop. They eat 2,000 pounds of food a day, just like our passengers. And they eat 18 hours a day, just like our passengers. And then they go 3,000 miles to Hawaii to breed, calf suckle their young. Now, the reason that humpback whale goes all the way to Hawaii is that little baby, when he's born, he has no myoglobin in his blood. Myoglobin is the protein in our blood that enables us to swim while we hold our breath underwater. Well, we have a little bit as humans, but whales, they need a lot because they hunt and live mainly underwater. So when he is born, he has no myoglobin and he needs that warm water to develop. And mom actually pushes him up for his first breath.
Oh wow!
And you'll see a lot of statues with mom pushing the baby to the surface called first breath. And then of course we have the killer whales. They are always so much fun to see out here. We have two types that we usually see. The resident pod, they eat the salmon, and then the transient pod, they eat a lot of the seals. So that's their prey. So we'll see those two, and that's kind of what we have going on out here. And then, of course, you've got bears, you've got the bald eagles. They call them Juneau pigeons. And
there's so many of them, huh?
There's so many. And we have the seals. We have, the harbor seals, the Steller sea lions. Just a lot of fun things to do out here and a lot of animals to see.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, we did get to see some whales, just super beautiful, and to see, again, as you're just kind of cruising along in the confines. And as Mark alluded to, we did eat some when we were on the ship. They feed you well and keep you ready to go for all the beautiful sights. So in regards to the glaciers receding, why, like you were saying, why does that alarm you at the speed that these glaciers are melting? Aside from just the beauty and what they bring to the earth, what else do they do in regards to the animals, this quick recession?
Well, with the earth warming so fast, what we're worried about is the animals adapting. Evolution means adapting over long periods of time. Well, folks, we're not giving these animals a long period of time to adapt. The earth is changing so fast, and it's warming up at a pretty alarming rate. And sometimes a species will not be able to stay on the planet. And that's what alarms most of us. We don't want to lose a polar bear. We don't want to lose a mega species. We want to keep those animals with us.
Yeah, and it's not to say that necessarily the warming will hurt them, but it's just that quick change that they're just not able to adapt, huh?
Yeah, that's the main thing. If we can slow it down just a little bit, just to give them time to adapt. Now, animals will adapt, like the sea turtle. The green sea turtle eats seagrass over in Hawaii. Well, with humans, we polluted the water so much, the seagrass disappeared. But they adapted and changed their diet to red algae. And there's a ton of red algae because red algae likes polluted waters. And the sea turtle numbers went way up. So some animals will adapt to the climate change.
That must break your heart as a marine biologist to kind of know that
Yeah,
these animals are.
you don't want to ever lose a polar bear. You don't want those. Their main diet is seals, and right now the seals are endangered. And if you go on the endangered list, that means you're going to leave the planet in 50 years unless something is done. And so, if these seals leave the planet, do the polar bears leave the planet? There's a trickle down effect. Every time you lose a species, you lose more species. So, if we can slow it down just a little bit and give these animals a chance, a lot of them, they want to survive. That's one thing about animals. They will try to survive if they can. And hopefully we can slow it down a little bit so they have time to adjust.
For themselves and also for the beauty and everything that they bring. So it is amazing when you see those puffs, when they come up for air and you see their just
Oh,
huge
yeah.
fins. It's just amazing. So let's turn to your book a little bit, if that's all right. Riding the Wave of Life. First off, the title. What's the origin or the meaning there? Seems like there might be something there.
Yeah, I started thinking about my life and how the different waves of life come in. And you get all excited when a different event comes in or a different opportunity, and you paddle hard and you work hard to catch that wave. And once you're on it, then you're just enjoying the wave. And now the wave never lasts. So that's the thing about surfing, there's always another wave. And as you fall off that wave, sometimes it's a major crash. And sometimes the wave just dies out. And that's kind of how life is with different opportunities that come your way. You get excited, you paddle, you catch the wave. Some you miss the wave, and the opportunity goes on by. In my case, a lot of opportunities came my way. And for some reason, I just did not say no. And by not saying no, I mean, my life was enriched. I had a lot of waves and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great read. So, one of the places that you begin with is your mother. That she was an early influence, also as a mother, and then also as a teacher. Talk about how she kind of kickstarted you in the right direction a lot of times.
Oh, probably the one thing I remember the most is I'm a little boy and I'm playing. And this is one lesson that stuck with me. And my friend calls up, Mike Diamond calls up and says, "Hey, come over and play." I go, "All right, I'll be there." And then 5 minutes later, Ricky calls up and he goes, "Come over and play." Well, Ricky had cooler toys. And I'm thinking, I'm going to go see Ricky. And then all at once, my mom sat me down. She read me the riot act. She said, "No, you made a commitment to go see Mike. You told him you were coming over. You're going over." And from that day on, even if you get a chance to upgrade, she never let me upgrade. She made me, stick to whatever I did. And for 66 years of my life, it's definitely panned out because sure, you have chances to upgrade, but if you stick to your original commitments, life tends to work out just perfect.
Yeah, the trustworthiness. I mean, I guess it's always the grass is greener type thing, and yeah, you miss out on whatever Mike was going to offer.
I know you just, you mean what you say, you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. So if something comes out like I'm coming over, You don't say no, can't make it. You go over. Your word is your bond.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. It seems like something that stuck with you and has been a good mantra to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
One of the things growing up also was wrestling. I know Tom Cruise has spoke about the importance of wrestling in his life. What is it about wrestling that you're able to take with you throughout life?
Well, we grew up in this little small town in Iowa, and wrestling was the key to that little town. And as a little boy, I watched the state championship teams go through. I watched the parades. I watched how they idolized these wrestlers, and I thought, I'm going to be a wrestler. And so as at a young age, probably 11, 12 years old, we dedicated our lives just to train and compete. And I got to do some incredible things. I was on U.S. teams that traveled the world. I wrestled in Japan. I wrestled in Germany, Romania. It was just, that's how the world opened up for me right away, is wrestling on a lot of these U.S. teams.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, it definitely gave you the confidence to do what you do. It's a single sport. It's just you and one other person. So there's not
Yeah,
others to
that's
depend
it.
on.
No, no, no.
In the book, also, you do have some unfortunate events. One of them being, unfortunately, getting a divorce from your first wife, which you had two kids together, a boy and a girl. What I like about the book is that you share, these heartaches, but you also kind of share that, there is, silver lining. And like you said, as you keep referring to throughout the book, writing, this next wave. But even through that, you were able to kind of find a way for your wife and you to continue on as friends and put the kids first and that kind of thing. What was, what gave you that kind of ability to still be friends after such a heart wrenching?
Well, I think even if two people grow apart and and they do split ways, well, one, you have children together, so you're always going to be connected. And we had two children together. I was married 12 years, and and my interests, of course, I was gone a lot. And then when I did come home, she really didn't travel much, and so I loved taking the kids around the world. So it was just me and the kids, and pretty soon, we just kind of went separate ways. But we've remained friends, and that was one of the waves. Yeah, that was a crashing wave. That wave didn't die out. That one crashed. Because sometimes you don't see things coming. And I didn't see it coming, and all at once, I had to deal with it. But then I had to get back on that surfboard and go out and see what the next wave was. And so,
Yeah, definitely. You talk about one of the pivotal moments that you had was when you were driving off and you get a phone call from your son.
oh yeah, that's really heart wrenching, because I was T roping at the time, and so I had a horse, I had a horse trailer, and I packed it all up, and I was leaving the house, and I'm thinking, wow, this is the worst day of my life. And then my little 7-year-old boy calls up, and he goes, "Dad, come back and get me." And I turned around, I went back, and he became my hero that day. And from that day on, that little 7-year-old never left my side. He and we ended up growing up, just as bachelors. And I ended up raising him. And the cool thing is, he went on to play college football. And the thing about my schedule, I was able to redo my schedule. So from the time he started playing football in first grade, I never missed one of his games ever, all the way through college, his senior year in college. I got to go to Boston College, Texas Tech, and it's just some really cool universities to watch him play. And from that day, he definitely was my hero. So, and he always has been.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you guys, a bachelor pad with you two, I'm sure was probably the place to be there for a little bit. Huh? So I guess to kind of close out this chapter, are there things that you can share for husbands and dads on how to kind of navigate the crash of the wave and then also looking for the next one?
Well, somehow my only the husband advice I can't really give you. So I'm 0 for 3. I'm 0 for 3. I'm not cut out to be a very good husband. But dad advice is just spend time with those children. They're only young for, so, and now that I'm old, all I have is the memories to look back on what we did. And now I'm watching my son raise his son. And it's so much fun to see how he patterns his life after our life. And every generation can pass things down. And I think that's, if you just like your children, just spend time with them, never miss a game, whatever it takes. Don't let things get in the way because they definitely are the priorities. And then when you get to be older like me and you look back, you don't have any regrets. And it's just, that's what's so important is time, period.
Yeah, I think that's what they say. Yeah, time's the one commodity that we all have the same ounce, same number of minutes in the day, and yeah, you just can't get it back. So, nah, I think that's great advice. I'm definitely going to take it with me going forward, and I hope that anybody listening that may be going through some stuff is able to take that in. So you talk about the feeling of when things are going quote unquote too well. It often means that a wave may be ending, or it's also that time to take stock or start searching for the next wave. How do you know when waves are going too well and something may not be right, or is it just a feeling or wisdom?
Well, it's never going to last. You hope it's going to last. You want that wave to last, but you can only be on top so long. And then it either dies out slow or it crashes. But there's just that little window when you're on top of the wave. It may be on the top of your profession. It may be on the top of your marriage. It may be on, whatever you have going on in your life. It's not just a normal high all the time, but you're going to have great career advances. You're going to have great moments in your marriage. You're going to have great moments in your family, and you're going to have some bad ones. and it's always ebbing and flowing. It's just a lot like our tides.
There are some Markisms or catchphrases that you should probably know. We mentioned one, the Bluebird Day, which you are definitely having one of those looking at the sky behind you. And that's just kind of just a beautiful day that definitely gives you to take awe. I was listening to somebody the other day, and we don't take enough moments of just awe to just really take in. But when we were on the cruise with you, and it seems like in your life, you definitely take those moments to really take it in.
Yeah, you got to take time to smell the air, and look at the flowers, look at your surroundings, nature. Like John Burroughs said, I quote this one, John Burroughs, in 1899, he's a famous author. He comes to Alaska and he says, I go to nature to be soothed and healed and have my senses put back in order. Well, when you come to Alaska, you get soothed and maybe even healed. But when you are done, your senses are back in order.
I can definitely attest to that. What's your catchphrase in regards to Alaska when we're looking at something so beautiful?
You know what? The crew loves it. I started doing it last year, and they just, they captured it. And I, for some reason, I just go, folks, this is Alaska. This is why you're here. And now all the crew, every time I go to get my dinner, they'll go, this is Alaska. This is why you're here.
It truly is a great catchphrase, and I think you could probably take out the word Alaska and put wherever you are in that moment of life in there, because that's truly why you're here. And people and community and nature, it all makes it all come together. So having you as our tour guide and the voice coming over the loudspeaker was definitely a highlight. Again, your passion definitely came through, and the information definitely made looking at all of these glaciers that much more meaningful to know all of the history behind it. Super big thanks to your making our trip great.
I'm glad you came.
So I definitely recommend anyone to sign up for Princess Cruises. We'll put a link down below in the description to check it out if you want to go to Hawaii or to Alaska. I think having Mark as your tour guide and your naturalist will definitely make the trip that much more memorable. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time. When do you ship off for the next one?
10 minutes.
Oh, all right. Well, let's close it out there. Thank you so much for your taking the time to chat and share your stories. Again, the book is Riding the Wave of Life by Mark Harris. Definitely recommend it. You can get it as an ebook on Amazon or wherever you get your ebooks, and it's a wonderful read and definitely some great lessons from a great person. So, thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.